Hi, it's Laura from Read18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is my July 2023 recap, sharing what I've been up to in the month of July. Specifically, I want to touch on just a couple of life updates, kind of general things, the decks I've received this month, the decks I've worked with the most this month, books I've read this month, and where my to explore further slash wish list of decks is at right now. So I had a pretty good July. The, I think, best part of July has been that I had 2 of the weeks of July, non-consecutively, off for vacation. My job has vacation. It's new to me. I've never had a job with several weeks vacation every year as a part of it. I have a lot of vacation for this year because I've had the job for about a full year now. And when I first started, I was a little bit not in denial, but in disbelief of the fact that there actually was vacation time. So I ended up rolling a bunch of vacation time forward. And I've just been enjoying that. I have spent several days of July, more than a week's worth, just swimming and, you know, laying outside in the backyard and enjoying the summer. I got quite a bit of filming done. I got to have quite a few videos for July, which was good. I mostly had pretty good weather. The first week of the two was perfection. The second of the two, there was some more rain, but not so much rain or such constant rain that I didn't get to be outside, enjoying being outside all the time. So that was really good. I have one more week off in August, so I'm very much looking forward to some time off next week, actually. I'm looking forward to getting away to a cottage for a couple of days early August for my anniversary. So the rhythm of the summer has just been really nice. And, work is always busy and always comes with its stresses, but having this time off has been really, really good. The one negative thing about July that I'll just share that I've been dealing with, I'm sure there are some folks out there who will empathize, is I have a raging case of plantar fasciitis. I've never had this before. For folks who are unfamiliar with this, it's kind of strain to the kind of tissue that is on the bottoms of your feet, connecting your heels and your toes. So it is painful and uncomfortable, and all of my shoes seem to make it worse. I did go shoe shopping, which I hate doing, to get some arch supportive sneakers to wear at work, but oh, it sucks. If you've ever had it, I feel your pain right now, literally. So I've been glad to be off work for the time that I have been because I do a lot of running around at work, up and down the stairs and all over the place and out in the community. And it's been nice to just get to have some rest. And I feel like swimming is also really restorative, and having lots of time to do that and just kind of take the weight off my feet has been really good and really healing. But oh my goodness, I hope that this is over soon because no good. I am looking forward to August. I have lots of good video ideas. I have more video ideas than time in August, so I think I will probably put out a little bit less in August than July, but there are some videos I'm really excited to make. So that's a fun update. The last update I'll just share, and this is a very, small update. I finally got to start using the journal that I bought in Montreal when Sarah and I met up and, among other things, visited a stationery store. And this is Notebook. It was a very affordable one, and I am just, I think I've found my dream journal. I've tried lots of different journals. This is everything I want in a journal to be writing my but like full moon and new moon readings, journaling longer readings. My cards of the day I do in a smaller book, as folks will be familiar with, I think. But for longer writing sessions, this is my dream journal. It's simple. I did put a pocket in the back, just made of some not cardboard, but like thicker paper, just attached to keep some things there. And the paper is just lined, plain, white. If it has an undertone to it, it's a little bit gray. It has a spot to number the page and a spot to put the date on the top of each corner. It has a little index in the front so you could make your own table of contents there, which of course I totally missed and wrote a table of contents table of contents on the first page. That's fine too. But this I'm not going to show it because it's personal, but I'll just say this book, every ink looks good in this book. The lines are nicely spaced. No ink bleeds through. And I think this cost $13 Canadian. This is the best. So very happy about that. That's my updates for July. That was one of the most exciting parts of July, was starting that book. So decks I've received this month. I received 3 decks this month, and one of them, the first one I'm going to show you, is absolutely the deck that has been my most anticipated deck of the year, hands down. Couldn't pre-order fast enough. I was ready for this to come my way. Those are the backs. This is Nellie's deck by Kelly of The Truth and Story. And I have it in order right now because I'm reading the book. This has a combination of playing cards and Lenormand, and there's tarot in here and oracle. And I took a class dedicated to this before I had a copy of the deck. Some folks in the class kind of made copies for themselves. I am so excited for this. It, has been a long time in the making, and I'm just so happy, for my friend Kelly, who is such a wonderful mentor and has just created something really special, I think. It came in this vintage fabric bag, and the book. Look at this. It's printed to have this old kind of leathery looking cover. And there are different letters, since Nellie's deck goes with a story of a woman named Nellie. There are letters, and there's little kind of ephemera stuck throughout, little newspaper clippings. There's a whole kind of story that this deck goes with. And we read a novel together called The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter and looked at this deck system, and I'm obsessed. This is amazing. I know there's some walkthroughs and things already posted. I'm not sure if I'll do one. It's a little bit emotional to see this deck come fully to life, and so to receive it this month was definitely kind of the highlight of my month deck-wise. I'm going to read the book through completely end to end before I really work with the deck, but I'm so excited. I also received a Kickstarter deck that I had backed, and folks will recognize this one. This is the Green Glyphs Oracle by James Eads. And there was a big campaign for a Oracle, Lenormand, Tarot, and Runes decks, all in kind of a deck family, and a whole bunch of add-ons and extras and books and stuff. I did not back for anything other than this oracle. The tarot, to be honest, like I don't like. Um, I don't know anything about runes. Like a rune deck is about the last thing that I need. And so I just went for this. And it's a really cool one. The book is good. Hat. And there's these little touches of holographic throughout. It is wonderfully non-sticky and well made. Some decks with hologram end up sticky. This one does not. And I really like this as a kind of cartomantic style system. And I'm looking forward to enjoying this deck. I did get the little pouch that it goes with, um, but that was it. I did not back for all the things. It was a very big campaign. I did not back for all the things. The last deck I have to share with you is a deck that I will be making a dedicated video about. I'm not going to say too much about it here. This is the first deck ever that I have been given for review purposes by a deck creator. It's never happened to me before. And I am going to read the guidebook in full and do a full review this month. And that is the Local Honey Picture Box, an Oracle Deck and Self-Love Toolkit by Emily Wilcox. This is on Kickstarter right now. It is already fully funded. I will link the Kickstarter below. This is a copy of the deck as it will come. It's not like a, you know, incomplete or a prototype. It is the deck as it will come. And I have the cards in a specific order right now because I'm reading through the guidebook, but I'll show a few. It says, how much do you respect yourself? Trinity. Love is alchemy. Rebellion. The banner says no gods, no masters. This made me interested, I'll be honest. Navigate conflict, grounding in self-love. Vulnerability and strength. Grief allowance. Emotional landfill. The container. Speak your truth. And so it goes on. I am reading the guidebook slowly. It is quite detailed. I will just say I like the production. I like the cardstock. I like the size. This is a deck that, something that I really like about this that made it stand out to me was that this is very much a hand done deck. These are paintings. They are very, the amount of work, the amount of years of work to make paintings like this, that are obviously larger than this in real life, when they've been painted, is incredible. I would liken it to something like maybe the Gaian Tarot or Margareta Peterson, even like this very, very analog, I guess, way of creating, and it feels rarer and rarer to see a deck like this. I like decks in all different kinds of media, but this is, there's really something special about this, I think. I really like that you can tell that the models were actually humans who sat for these paintings. They look like real people. They look like, in some cases, people that I know. They, you know, come in a wide variety of ages and ethnicities and body shapes and so on, which I appreciate very much. The colors are beautiful. So I want to do a full review and talk about how it reads and how I would read with it. I am reading again the guidebook in full. The guidebook is card sized. It is 49 pages long, so you get, more than a page for most cards. Um, the font is maybe, I don't know if that'd be size like 9, maybe. It's fairly small, but it's a very readable font. And it is a self-love focused deck. And the creator describes her approach to healing and self-love as informed by chaos magic, Nathaniel Branden's writings on self-esteem, which I'm not familiar with, Jungian psychology, 12-step programs, and an anarchist and anti-capitalist ethos. It's those latter parts that appealed to me the most. Um, I like so far how this, it doesn't feel fluffy, and in talking about self-love consistently acknowledges kind of systemic and structural contextual inequities and other kinds of issues that affect our wellness. So far, I like this. I'm going to give more thoughts later, but I will give a full thought. But this is on Kickstarter, so I will link that. Now, other decks I've worked with the most of this month. I haven't worked with a lot of decks this month because I've been really into a few a few decks that I've just stuck with the entire month. So, and I've been getting to know the new decks, reading the guidebooks and that, but the decks that I've been consistently reading with this month. Le Tarot Ultraviolet is one. I've shown this deck before. It is brilliant. I love this deck. I think it's just fantastic. It's colorful, it's diverse, it's contemporary. It feels, pretty relatable. It's kind of pippish in the minors, not completely. There's a discernible Smith-Waite feel for sure. The courts are maybe my favorite courts ever. Um, Mystique would be a queen. There's a lot of hands in the minors, which I like. The Heart and Hands Tarot was one of the first indie decks that I ever owned. I really like that. I love this fool. I think that this deck is just amazing. So I have not put this down. This has been my daily draw deck for pretty much the entire month. I think it's great. I every so often have been thinking like, oh, you should change up your daily draw tarot deck and pull out something else, and then I just go back to it. So I'm really enjoying that. For a kind of affirmative oracle, I'm going with Sea Soul Journeys, which is kind of outside my wheelhouse in a lot of ways. Not the photographic nature imagery is totally my thing. I love photographic nature-based decks, but this much text and this much, affirmative wishing is not usually my style. It's not, I don't think, something that is the general kind of reading that I do for myself, and definitely not the kind of reading that I do for others, but one of these in the morning is so nice. And so I've been really enjoying that. And I have been really enjoying the Yummy Oracle by Aminat Oladipo. These are my cards from today, those two. And this deck, I included this deck as a versatile one in my Oracle reading video. This deck is so good to read with. The guidebook is fabulous. And I ended up doing it, it wouldn't be the way that I would necessarily approach this deck, but the guidebook mentions, you could do a past, present, future 3-card reading with this. And I did, for a day It wasn't yesterday, it was a couple days ago. And just as a kind of, past as a kind of what's carrying forward into my day from previously, present as what I need to focus on, and future as kind of potential um, outcome, trajectory. And it was right on. Right on. It could not be more right on. And this is one of my favorite card stocks. I have nothing else in my collection that's like it. It is somehow rose petal that isn't all sticky and clumpy. It feels luxurious to me. I love this deck. So that's what I've been working with this month. Tell me what you've been working with this month in the comments if you like. Now, books that I have read this month. I read 7 books this month. And the Goodreads is already on me for being behind. Behind. Because every year I put down my goal to read 100 books, which I don't actually care about. It just keeps bugging you to pick a number until you do. And so that's what I choose. And I'm always kind of around there, but it starts, you know, you're too behind, kind of. I'm I don't feel behind. I feel perfectly happy with what I've been reading. The first book that I read this month was Venice Underground by Jeff Vandermeer. Venice Underground I got as an advanced reader copy, but it's actually an old book. Um, or old. It is not a new release as most advanced reader copies are. I got the reader copy of Venice Underground because they're coming with a 20th anniversary edition of the Venice Underground. So it has some more material than the original publication did. Venice Underground is classic new weird. It is, I would say, 90% setting, 5% plot, and 5% character development. It is intensely descriptive and evocative of some really horrifying um, scenes. I will say that. Not for the squeamish, body horror throughout, gory, graphic. It is great. It's great. And you can definitely see if you are familiar with his Area X trilogy or Annihilation. And Annihilation was the first of that trilogy that was made into a film with Natalie Portman, I think, and others. There's definitely aspects of what I really like in Area X and in Annihilation in Venice Underground also. I'm into new weird. I like new weird. It's not for everybody. Venice Underground has a little bit of a kind of Orpheus and Eurydice basis for sure, and it's an interesting one. Really gross to read, but the writing is fantastic. I think Jeff Vandermeer is fantastic, so I really enjoyed that. I read a new author to me, Elizabeth Bear, in this book, Machine. This was a total random pick for me. I found this in the discount bin at the local bookstore, and I was hesitant to get it because I saw on the front a white space novel and did a quick online search and learned that it was a sequel to something that I have not read. But then other reviews said that you could read it without having read the previous book, and it was kind of more like in the same universe, but not the same characters, like not the same core plot line, just in a universe. And I'm glad that I read this because I thought that this was quite good. It has a lot of themes in a space opera that I enjoy. It deals with the kind of ethics of artificial intelligence and the rights that artificial intelligences might have. It definitely touches in class and class inequalities in a highly technologically advanced social context. It has an interesting array of characters who come in lots of different species, many of which are not even remotely human-like at all. I really like the main character in this. The main character is a queer woman who deals with chronic pain and disability and has disabilities, and I found her relatable. And I found the ways that she experienced those things and how she experienced, living with chronic pain and addressing that and that being part of her day-to-day reality in this kind of futuristic context. I really liked how this was done. That is what stood out to me about this the most. If I had to critique this, I would say the first 20% is not that interesting. It's not bad by any stretch, but I found the first 20% of this novel, I was waiting for it to go somewhere, and then once it went somewhere, it like went, and I was really in. The first 20% was a little bit slow. And also some of the action in the book, because there's a lot of this kind of advanced technology at play, some of the action scenes are just hard to follow, like who's doing what with what and how is a bit confusing. But if you just go with it, it gets to a place that makes sense. I liked this. I would read more Elizabeth Bear on the basis of this, 100%. I just finished Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. I got this as an advanced copy as well. Uh, Infinity Gate is a multiverse themed book. It's the first in a planned series. And the reason that I picked this up actually is that M.R. Carey wrote the novel, which later became the film The Girl with All the Gifts. And he also wrote the screenplay of The Girl with All the Gifts. And I really liked that film a lot. And that was the basis on which I picked this novel. I had never read any of his work before. It wasn't even really on my radar as something that I wanted to check out, but it came up and I went for it and I got a copy. And I'm really glad that I did because The Infinity Gate was really good. I will totally read, the next book in the series. It had a lot of things I like, multiple points of view, done well. It had a diverse cast of characters, done well. The first point of view character is a Black woman who's a scientist, and I thought that she was the best point of view character in the whole book. In this multiverse, um, the kind of setting for this, the technology is that there's this kind of way of stepping between different iterations of the universe, and the early on portion of the book begins with a plot of somebody first discovering how to do this. But over the course of the book, you learn that, different characters, different societies have been stepping from universe to universe, for a long time. And there's inter, um, inter-universe kind of political alliances and all kinds of things. The context is really interesting. The politics are really interesting. The Um, the artificial intelligence, again, politics are really interesting. The core of the action takes place across multiple universes, in each of them, it's an iteration of Lagos, Nigeria, which I thought was interesting. And, I liked the way that that setting was. I didn't love one of the point of view characters as much as I loved the others. Not because it was badly done, I just thought it kind of went on too long. But other than that, I thought that this was really good. So I liked The Infinity Gate a lot. I just read yesterday, like all of it yesterday, The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown. This is a debut novella, and so I've never read anything by Ness Brown before. And The Scourge Between Stars is a generational ship, and the context for the plot is that people have left a climate change destroyed Earth to make a colony elsewhere. The colony has failed, and in the novella, we're on a ship of survivors, descendants of survivors of the failed colony, trying to go back to Earth again, and not knowing what that's going to be like if they get there, and facing all kinds of kind of technical constraints and resource constraints of whether they will get there at all. And something is on the ship with them. That's the premise. I did not find the plot of this to be the most original, necessarily. Felt a lot like Alien, but the writing was good. I really liked the main character and how she was represented. This queer female acting ship's captain. I really liked that. And yeah, I found it exciting. Like the pace was good. It's marketed as a horror, but it's not super gory or graphic or anything like that. It's much more suspenseful than anything else. There are a few, you know, scenes where scary, violent conflicts happen, but they're not gratuitous. It's not a like gross out horror by any stretch. I would say it's a more of a suspenseful, and it was fun. I would read more Ness Brown based on this one. I read Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea by Rita Chang Epig, and this is a historical fiction, and it is about pirates. Specifically, the protagonist is a woman who's a captain of a ship or co-captain of a ship, and it follows her and her life. Um, she has an extraordinarily traumatic life in so many ways, and she is an extraordinarily morally complicated, ethically conflictual kind of protagonist who is so well developed. I thought this book was really, really well done. I would love to read more from this author. I will say something that puzzles me a little bit is that I have seen this book cropping up on lists of books or described as fantasy. It is not. It is very decidedly historical fiction. It deals with historical dynamics of economy and trade and colonialism, and impoverishment and labor and all kinds of things that are is absolutely rooted in research. This book, I'm not really sure why this would be billed as a fantasy. There are points in the book where the main character, speaks to or prays to a deity, and different aspects of the stories associated with that deity are inserted into the story. This this does not make a book a fantasy novel to me, and I feel this is not the first time that I've seen this kind of content make something be pitched as a fantasy novel, and I feel kind of uncomfortable with that. This is a historical fiction. Is very good. Is very good. Not easy reading. Not easy reading at all. In terms of the violent content in the book, but very, very good. I would love to read more of Rita Chang Eping based on this. Chang Epig, excuse me. I thought it was really, really good. My last two books I read are Druidry books. I read The World of the Druids by Miranda J. Green. This is kind of like a textbook. This is mostly about ancient, um, you know, druids somewhat, but also kind of archaeological findings that may or may not be representations of druids because the evidence is fragmentary, and the context is often unclear for these kinds of things. The book contains chapters on Celtic perspectives on supernatural, classical literature depictions, archaeological findings, sacrifice, human and otherwise, women who were druids and women in Celtic society, the role of priests, Irish myth. There's all kinds of interesting things in here, and then there's a little bit about revival druidry at the very end and the relationship between revival druidry and the ancient, insofar as such a relation exists. One of influence certainly does. I found this interesting. I liked it. I liked the pictures. I I find archaeological findings interesting. I don't know a lot about, like, this is way outside of my area of expertise, obviously. Obviously. definitely outside of my area of expertise. I found it interesting. What I didn't love so much about this actually was the last couple of chapters on the more recent and current Druidry. There was a lot of really overgeneralized representation. I feel like anything under the quote unquote pagan umbrella kind of got generalized into one big blob. You know, um, like why in the chapter about Druidry is there immediately sections on Norse paganism and Wicca? Not sure. They're not really kind of distinguished from each other particularly clearly. Um, I thought that the contemporary chapters were the worst part of this. The historical and ancient parts, and this is written by a professor of archaeology, were definitely the best done aspects. I also read The Book of Hedge Druidry by Joanna Vanderhoven. This is a book that I chose to include in my AODA studies because we get to pick some of our own books. I have read a little bit of Joanna Vanderhoven before in the Pagan Portals series, like the really short little books. And there's a number of things about her work that I like. It's really accessible and approachable. It's welcoming. It encourages you to kind of do your own thing and do what works for you. She really includes a lot of very practical considerations in a way that a lot of authors, I think, talking about things like ritual and spiritual practice don't include, like the perils of bringing your staff on public transit. Like these very, very practical, working with candles in a household full of children, like very practical things. And I just think that's refreshing, and necessary. And these are things that we all kind of deal with and don't always get put in a book as if it's not serious enough or something. But I really like that. And I feel like, she's someone that I would enjoy hanging out with. This does look very different than what my Druidry looks like. As I understand it, Joanna Vanderhoven is also definitely identifies as a witch, um, may identify as Wiccan specifically, or certainly identifies with aspects of that, and that's kind of a lot of where our practices, I would say, diverge. Certainly, the Fae are a big part of her practice, and not so much a part of mine. But I can engage with what she talks about there in terms of kind of spirits of place, and she talks about it that way, which I enjoyed. There's a section on theory at the beginning of the book with a lot of terminology and things like that. And then there's a section on practice, which includes altars, ritual space, moon rituals, daily practices, etc. There's a section on herbs, ogham, and spellcraft and design. And then there's some kind of ethic um, discussion at the end. I feel mixed about this. I almost like the Pagan Portals, like the short snippet books, better because some of this feels stretched. Like it doesn't actually feel like there's 330 pages of worth of interesting content in this 330 page book. It feels like there's definitely some padding. Uh, Lots of nice ideas, like that I enjoy reading about, but also lots of things that are totally not applicable to my practice at all. Um, you know, I think books like this are any kind of spiritual practice book, particularly in a tradition as kind of loose and internally diverse as Druidry, you're never gonna find a book, I don't think, that is going to be like, yes, this is how I do Druidry. This is my practice. You're like, unless you're the author of the book, obviously. But I found some things of interest in here. Is it my favorite book I've ever read on Druidry? Definitely no. But not bad. And if kind of a very witchy inflected solitary practice that is nature based, um, a little bit kind of garden witchy kind of feel is of interest, then this may be one that you would like, I think. That's the books I've read. Wishlist check-in. I'm going quickly this month. I'm only at 39 minutes. I will also just add, this is the planner that I've been using. This is a Kimbor brand planner. Kinbor. You can see them there. And it's an undated one that I filled in the dates. I've shown this before. But I thought I would just mention now that we're, past the halfway point of the calendar year. I'm pretty sure, and this hasn't really happened. I'm pretty sure that at this point in August 1st, which is today, 2023, that for 2024, I'm going to buy this exact same book. I may look for a dated one, I'm not sure. I know some of the Kinbor have the like hardcover and some of them have a soft. I like the hardcover. This is exactly what I want. Exactly what I want in a planner. I feel like I did very well this year. The paper is really nice. Ink doesn't bleed through. You have a kind of, this is a very sparse week. You get the week on one side and then the blank grid paper on the other. You can make to-do lists and things like that. Or that's what I do with it. Everything about this book works for me, except this weird section at the beginning where they want you to write the day of the week in. That's bizarre. I'm not doing that. But other than that, this book is fabulous, including using the My 100 as my to explore wish list, which is now up to 32 entries. Updates. I got to check off some things because I did make some purchasing decisions. I bought the files for Kristen of Over the Moon Academy's Campfire Stories Oracle. So basically it's PDF with, 4 or 8 card images per sheet. I need to figure out how I'm going to print this for myself because printing it and cutting it out is not going to be it. I need to figure out putting this on make playing cards so that I can get it that way. I haven't done that. I haven't even started to look at that, but I did buy the files. So I'm going to have a camping deck, but probably not for this season of camping because it's already August 1st. I also backed Charlie Claire Burgess's Gay Marseille on Kickstarter. I was on there so fast. Early bird, you know, quick. The Kickstarter is still going. At the time of me filming, the countdown is now in hours rather than days. It has met its goal. It has met a stretch goal. The stretch goal is a class on Marseille, which I think will be really fun, and is great, for folks particularly who are less familiar. I've been waiting for Gay Marseille to go on Kickstarter. I backed it the second that it did, so I got to check that one off. That's really all that I have to report in that regard for this month. I did cross off some things, not because I purchased them, but I'm crossing them off my list. The Blue Earth Tarot was on my list for a brief time. I think it's too blingy for me. It's got a lot of metallic, and it's got a lot of metallic paired with like a feel that I don't associate with a lot of metallic. And maybe that makes sense and maybe it doesn't. But I don't think that it's for me at this time. I also crossed off Into the Lonely Woods. I don't know if I crossed that off last month or this month, but I crossed off Into the Lonely Woods. That was on my list briefly. I thought it was a people-free deck. It's not. I crossed off the Nat Ministry Rest deck that goes with the book Rest is Resistance, which I really enjoyed. I crossed this off because I've now looked at enough sample cards. I just don't think I would use it. I really like the book. I'm keeping the book. I'm keeping the book on my shelf. I will go back to the book. I just don't think the deck is something that I need. So I did decide not to buy that for the time being. Though I know some people here, or at least a couple, have it, and if you would please kindly do a walkthrough, I might change my mind. So there's that. I added a deck to my list. And the deck that I added to my list is called the Earth Blessings Oracle. I haven't seen this around much, the Earth Blessings Oracle, but it is, from the looks of it, it's from the same publisher and very similar to this Sea Soul Journeys in terms of the photographic artwork and, a kind of a wishful kind of message. Wait, may you, dot, 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 may you, um, may your brave call be carried on the wind. May you. tend to suffering, may you see the sublime in the everyday. These are some of the messages of this one. This other deck, the Earth Blessings Oracle, very similar in tone, but it is seasonal. So it has 4 different backs like this, but it's 4 seasons. It's not all ocean. It's more land-based. And I'm looking at it and thinking, can I shuffle it in with this and make a mega deck? Would it be really repetitive and repeat some of the messages, or would it be an awesome, huge, nature-based deck of intention setting that I would really love? That's what I'm thinking. The Earth Blessings Oracle. I'm looking at that one. So I will also just say I'm still waiting. Tarot of the Crystal World. Tarot of the Crystal World is my deck crush right now. When that one goes on sale, I will be there. Okay. That's my July updates. I hope everyone's had a good July. Let me know what you've been up to in July down in the comments. I wish you all a happy August, and I will see you again very soon. Have a good one. Bye.